I'd like to make a video here showing the school rankings here in, I guess this is the Denver metro area, right? City I used to live at. I'm a Colorado native. And show how they rank and how this relates to Hispanic immigration. So you can see here, we have this map of Denver and the school rankings are given from 10 being the highest and 1 to the lowest, right? So these green areas here, these are the higher ones, right? In these surrounding areas, these numbers drop off. And we can see quite a bit of academic segregation, I guess you would say, here from this map. And so what we can do then is look closer. We have taken a few samples here that are interesting. This Monroe School is, let's see where this one is. This is the load. Well, that's not important actually where it is right now. We'll go look here at the stats. First of all, we can see test scores, bad. This is a poorly ranking school. 21% of the students are proficient in math, 19 in English, 5 in science. So, totally failing school. And they give us a good demographic readout here. This is the point of the whole video, is to show this. So this school is 92% Hispanic. And it is, this school, it mentions up here at the top that studies show that diversity in school leads to long-term benefits for students. Discover why. And this is, of course, great because, for one, the school is not diverse at all. This school might as well have been in Mexico or any place in Latin America. This school was at one point, as it was built by the native Europeans. This was a 100% white school, perhaps some black in it, and it went through a time of diversity, I can assume, and now it has arrived at a pure ethno-state. So you would have to ask those European families and students that were in this district where the benefits were of this diversity, because they're all gone and they left for a reason, apparently, because the school is failing. Miserably it's failing. And as you can see back at this map here, it's still not loading, that this is a trend. If we were to look in at all of these schools, we would find all of these low-ranking schools are majority minority, quote unquote. And that is the primary determinant of whether they fail, whether they are poor. And yes, it's very striking. So here's another school. This is another, failed school, 88% Hispanic. This has just come to my attention recently that this is in fact happening. And I lived in Denver in early 2000s, and this is shocking. I didn't know these schools existed. Granted, I did not really spend much time in these areas, right? You can see with this map that, yeah, this is across this, what is this, I-25, I guess? Yeah, I-25. Yeah, west of I-25. I just didn't go around there. The neighborhoods looked pretty crappy. And I guess they were pretty crappy. Bad schools. So here's another one. This is this one is noteworthy because this is the lowest ranking school of, oh, these are elementary schools, by the way, I believe. These are all filtered for elementary. Yes, these are elementary schools. So this is the worst ranking elementary school, and it's interesting that this school is diverse of Hispanics and blacks, and this is apparently a terrible combination. I can imagine these kids are fighting with each other. I can imagine they hate each other, terribly so. And again, all of the demographics that perform well academically, they've all left. This was a majority white school at some point. If we could, get a picture of it, I'm sure you would see this is a school probably built in the, mid 1900s, perhaps, and it's gone from a majority European, functioning school into a broken, biracial Hispanic and black school, which is utterly failing. And here is another school which is worth mentioning, a 4 out of 10 grade. So it's slightly better than these two other ones, right? But this school, you can see, is this is in the transition that those previous two schools had undergone in the past, I don't know how many decades, not many, in the past 20, 30 years perhaps. I don't know how quick this happens. I can imagine if it was me, if I started seeing this happen, I would move the hell out of there as quick as I could. So this happened sometime in the past few decades, and you can see here the interesting points, which is that this race and ethnicity rating here, and this little message here is interesting too, isn't it? This shows test scores rating for different races, ethnicities. Big differences may suggest that some student groups are not getting the support they need to succeed, which is fascinating because you see this is a poorly ranked overall school, yet the Hispanic kids are doing very poorly, the black kids doing only slightly better, which is actually not common, I believe. And then the white kids are performing at a normal level, right? And yet this message here still, like the other message about the supposed benefits of diversity, this is saying that these kids are not getting the support that they need. Although the schools funded identically, right? It's in the same neighborhood, these people all live in the same area, and yet these two other groups are not doing as well as the white kids, which you can guarantee these kids are going to move out. This minority of white kids, you can see, we can scroll down here and get the numbers here. Low-income students. Okay, you can find out that there are 24% white, so they are a dwindling minority, and we know how this looks by the other schools. The school is going to fail, and these kids are going to have to move as they find themselves embattled in a monoracial school, which is not of their own, which is failing and is probably discriminatory against them. It's probably violent. It's at very least a waste of their time. And you can be sure if your kid's in this school, he will be getting a worse education if he was not elsewhere. So it is incumbent upon all the parents to be aware of this and get their kids the hell out of these schools. Know what's happening, know the trends and how these people perform, right? And yes, this is vitally important at this point. We could have predicted this would have happened, right? Because we knew these people were coming from this group. This Hispanic category, by the way, is based upon national statistics. It's about 60% Mexican. So this is we're basically looking at Mexico at this point, at least 60%. It could be, in the 70s, 80s, 90s for all we know. And so we can look back at Mexico's history and see how the Mexican schools are doing. And I never have done that before, but I can imagine they're doing quite poorly. This would be, easy to assume. This is one of the reasons that the Mexicans immigrate to America, is for the better schooling that is here. But as you can see by this trend happening here, just in a very few number of decades, they have came in such numbers that they have displaced the local population and then continued to track their existing trend in Mexico, which is that of not doing as well as the Europeans and the Asians. So we've learned that this is a failed experiment. These people will fail. They will bring down the areas around them, and it's a disaster. And students should be aware of this, and teachers and parents, everyone should be aware of this stuff. Okay, thank you for listening.